Hello. This lesson is designed to be used with Mega Goal 3, and it's Unit 1, Lesson 1. Now, when we start with Unit 1, Lesson 1, there are some things that the students need to learn in order to adjust for the coming units and learning. These will be dealt with and explained in this video. Also, we will look at active and student-centered learning tasks in this lesson. This PowerPoint or this video has been designed for teachers. However, when I post it, I'll put links to the PowerPoint for the student version so that you may use this to enrich and develop yourself, and then use the simple PowerPoint for helping the students learn. So without further ado, let's start. When we want to design learning, we need to ask ourselves this first question: what will the students learn on pages 6 and 7? Many people tend to look at the pages and just read what's off the pages. But however, anything that we learn on the page of a book needs to be, the student needs to be able to use it in different contexts. So let's look at a quick analysis of what the students will learn on pages 6 and 7. Pages 6 and 7, the content and topic are 3 texts, 1, 2, 3, for reading about personal characteristic and information. Now, what are the features of these 3 texts? Because you need to be able to mimic that when you give assessment. Single paragraph. This is a single paragraph. It's an autobiographical or biographical article of approximately 122 words. Most of the sentences are simple structure. We have some compound sentences, and the details in some sentences can be very long, like 15 words. Now, what do the sentences express? We know that sentences express thought. So these sentences tell about personality, and these sentences talk about likes and dislikes. And what do we need to learn as we go through the unit? Preferences and personality words, present perfect verbs, metaphor, finding details to compare, idioms, etc. At the end of this video, you will see a code with the assessment. Now, this assessment is what you can replicate to put in quizzes or in tests as well, just by changing the content and keeping the same questions. Now, remember, the focus of the learning is not what you will learn only, but the second question: what will you be able to do after learning? Now, in reading to comprehend, the students can find sentences in any similar text that talk about personality, that talk about likes and dislikes. If the student can look at a text and find sentences that do that, that means they are comprehending. Now, on a higher level of thinking, they can look at the same sentence and they can use them to infer about a person. So what will the students be able to do by the end of this learning session? Now, this has been designed for 40 to 45 minutes, but usually at the beginning of the year, it might take 2 sessions because the students are still learning the tools. One of the things we need to understand: don't try to ask about everything. Yes, it is fine, it will enrich, but you have only 5 periods or 5 sessions a week. What we need to do is to focus on what will the students be able to do, not what are we going to teach them. The biggest question I always get from teachers is, how can we finish the book? I have some news for you. You can finish the book in 1 day if you like, but the students have not learned anything. Ask your questions. What are my students able to do? Not how much have I covered and finished. If you want to work on cover and finish, then this video is not for you. I'm sorry, this is education. This is not a system of schooling. How do we learn? What are we able to do is the most important thing. And from my experiences, the more students learn at the beginning, the faster they can move through a book. So let's have a few plans right here. This and future videos will work on the following color code. Anything in this color would be opening task to help the students orient themselves and get to learn. Green always means it's a learning task. Blue always means you're checking the learning, and this tan color here is always the assessment task. Now, how does the video or the lesson plan roll in a classroom? Have a look. You can see here that, one second, you can see here that this is this lesson flow. The opening tasks, learning, but instead of the traditional PPP, where you take 10, 15, 20 minutes to present and then say, okay, start practicing. The problem is that what if the students missed out during the first presentation? They will be left out for the rest of the period. So opening task means that you grabbed most of the students. Sometimes we are not able to grab all, but we are going to try to grab most of the students. Then they start to learn. Now, in this learning, which takes maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes, we automatically give something to the students to check if they learned this. Then they continue learning. These are all connected, the green ones. But instead of clustering them as one presentation, we do the scaffolding, what is called segmentation and increments. So notice the learning is happening in increments. Learn, check, learn, check, learn, check, and then assess. So this assessment will take everything. This is the model that we are using. The opening task. Now, the opening task is supposed to do a lot of things. However, I don't want this video to take very long. If you want to see some of the explanations of why do we have this opening and the purpose of it and what it does, go to this YouTube channel video and watch it. Tasks to help students kickstart a language lesson, and it will say the principles, okay? Now, the most important thing in the principles is the ability to try to grab everyone. So you show this to the students and you ask them to have a pencil and a paper ready. And you say, listen to each sentence and write its number in the order you hear them. So they can see these sentences and numbers 1 to 7. But if you say, he loves spending time on the computer, they will write 6. Then you say, I am very spontaneous. They will write 1. Please ask them not to shout out the numbers, not to raise their hand to tell you, oh, we heard the number. This is a quick orientation, and it creates the familiarity with this structure that they're going to learn. So show this to the students and read the sentences in a different sequence without saying the numbers. When you finish reading them, then you can show them the next slide and the order that they were read, or we can put a feedback at the bottom. So read each sentence. For example, okay, everybody, listen to each sentence I say, write its number in the order you hear them on your paper, right? Now, the first time, I'm sure there's going to be talking, etc., because your young people are not used to this, but this is the idea. That's why it might take 2 periods instead of 1. So you go. I am down to earth. What will the students write on their paper? 4. And when you finish, you say, all right, check your answer, click, and this is the order that you read them. Now, how do you know that? Well, I made this for you, the teacher. I put it in this order, but you really do not have to follow my order. You can put any order you like, but then you'll have to change the numbers, okay? Now, the best way to do this is to either take a picture of it with your phone camera and then hold your phone camera looking at it and reading those sentences. Now, of course, you're doing remote learning, but sometimes in a school, somebody might be passing by and they'll go, oh, look, the teacher is looking at his phone during the classroom. Well, if we want to use technology, we've got to use our smartphones. So make a copy of this, read the sentences in this order, and the students will be writing the numbers. Now, do they have to get them correct? No. The most important thing is raising the attention. And second, everybody can do it. Now, after we finish this, the whole thing from start to finish should not take more than 5 to 7 minutes. 7 minutes, if the kids are not familiar, they have to go and look for a pencil. But as we start to move into the school year, this will start to get shorter and shorter. Now, we're still with the opening task to now use the same sentences to help the students think about why were we listening to the sentences. You ask them, write the meaning your mind makes next to each sentence using the words in the red. When you read, I am very spontaneous. What does your mind do? Does it think what people enjoy doing? Or does it think kind of a person? It doesn't matter if the answer is right or wrong. What we are trying to do is to get them to look at the sentences more and more, all right? Of course, you can help them. Don't write letter A or B. Make them write the words, because this will create an increased attention span. If you write the letter A, the last thing you'll remember is A, not personality or likes and dislikes, okay? Well, then we do it again with another 2 sentences that they heard before. Give them a minute or 2, all right? And then say, all right, check your answer. So notice you are not asking different students. This is completely autonomous at the moment, all right? What if we got it wrong? Yeah, so if we don't get it wrong, it means we already know it. And if we already know it, then what's the purpose of learning? And one more. And there we go. Okay, so this was the opening task. The whole thing in the future will take about 5 to 7 minutes. It's taking a little bit longer now because I am trying to describe what to do. The sum up. So you tell the kids, when we read, sometimes our mind does this. What people enjoy doing is likes and dislikes, and kind of a person is personality. We finished from the opening color. Now the green means we're going to start to learn. To help students start to learn, and this is the beginning of the term, we want to help them learn first how a simple sentence works, because if they cannot segment a sentence, they will not understand. Let's have a look. The basic structure of a simple sentence in English is, it always starts with a who or what. That's the simple sentence, all right? There's followed by an action or a verb. Then it's followed again by a who or a what. These are more meaningful than subject, verb, object. However, once they master the concept and the meaning, there is no problem of saying subject. But if you say what is the subject, you can tell where the subject is structurally, but you still didn't give it meaning. Meaning is the who and what, not the label of the structure. Then it's followed by how, where, and when. Now, let's take a couple of sentences, and this is now your part. You're explaining this to the students. You say, let's take a sentence from the 6 or 7 sentences that we've done and see how it works. I is the who, right? Good. Love is the verb or the action. What do you love? To do new things. I love to do new things. So if you explain it grammatically, to do is an infinitive, new is an adjective, things is an, it doesn't make meaning. It is one chunk, one detail. What do you love? What do you love? To do new things. That's a what. Got it? Okay, let's do another example. Notice now how the structure of the who or the what gets more complicated. One of my favorite things to do, you need to say that with one breath. One of my favorite things to do is wake up really early. This, you can't talk about this as a verb and whatever. The sentence has 3 details. One of my favorite things to do is what? Is what? Wake up early. Wake up early is one of my favorite things to do. Now notice that one of my favorite things to do is not a who. It's a what. Correct? Okay. So this is the learning part. What comes after that? Immediately, let's check it out. Let's work alone and see if you can put these into the chart. And again, you know, like the first time you're doing this, you need to spend more time to help the students maybe do the first one. But you say, okay, you are on your own. You have a few minutes, let's say 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes to do this by yourself. Remember, you have to break it apart and put it in the sentence organizer. All right? Okay. When you give them some time, what do? You say, now here, work alone. Don't talk, don't ask, don't raise your hand unless there's something you don't understand. Work alone. We need to give our students more opportunities to work alone in order to increase the experience time. When they finish, you say, all right, let's check our answers. You see, check your answer. And I am down to earth. It's I'm what? What? Down to earth. Now, if they don't understand it, you can explain that, of course. Which is the am. I'm what? Very spontaneous. 3, he loves spending time on the computer. He, that's it, loves. What does he love? What does he love? Now, what I've observed sometimes in the classroom is that the students will say spending. Well, no, that's not the answer. You have to say the whole detail. The what in this case is, what does he love? Spending time on the computer. And we spend hours talking and laughing. We spend, what do we spend? We spend hours talking and laughing, okay? So this is the details of the 3 sentences. They checked, time to move to more learning. All right. How to tell if the sentence is talking about personality or dislikes? This is what they need to learn now. How do we distinguish? Notice that the reason we did the opening is to create this human pedagogical aspect where you prepare their brain for the sentences that they're going to see later, rather than just put it on the slide and start explaining. It doesn't work that well for many people. What we'll do is first find the what or the who at the beginning of the sentence. We just did that, right? Good. Then find the main verb or the action of the sentence. Good. Then find the what or the who. Good. So after you find them, we start to think here. This is a what, right? If the what describes the who, then it's talking about personality. If the what describes the who, then it's about personality. Let's do the second one. He loves spending time on the computer. So what we've got is, we look for the first one. This is the who. Loves is the verb or the action. Then third, we find the how, or sorry, the who or the what. Spending time on the computer. Spending time on the computer, does it describe him or does it tell about an action he does? So if the what does not describe the he, but tells an action about the he, then it's talking about the likes and dislikes. Now, this is not a generalization for everything. This is for this lesson only. How do we find the dislikes or the personality? If the what here shows an action that he's doing, then it's probably a like or dislike. If the what here describes him or her or whoever is here, then it's a personality. What are we going to do now? We're going to go straight to check your learning. So what we want them to do is, now we go to the book. Find and mark sentences that talk about A, personality in blue, B, likes and dislikes in the 3 passages on pages 6 and 7. Traditionally, people like to go start from I believe and read through. Right? Fine. What is the focus of this lesson? The focus of this lesson is the ability to find sentences that talk about dislikes, likes, and personality. Let's focus on those, all right? Um, Again, we need to help them at the beginning, but what we will do is when we give them feedback, I projected this on the screen. The red is the likes and dislikes, and the blue is the personality. Like, I'm also a very straightforward person. A very straightforward person is describing the I. I like, what do you like? I like, what do you like? To set challenges for myself. To set challenges for myself is an action I do. So more of likes and dislikes, okay? Even though the word like here, for example, I like to be straightforward, is still using like, but to be straightforward is a personality, right? Okay. Then we give them the feedback with this one. You can pause the videos at any time to read this. They can make mistakes. They can find the right one. They can find the wrong one. They can find more than one. That is part of the learning. Learning should not be one straight, direct, black and white answer. Build the ability to see more than one answer. All right? So after we finish checking our learning, then we go to more learning. We are going now to work on inference. How likes, dislikes, and personality help us make an inference about a person. So let's look at inference. Sally is a good listener. I love quiet mornings. If Sally is a good listener, we can infer that people like to talk to her. I love quiet mornings. Then we can infer that if you love quiet mornings, or this person loves quiet mornings, we can infer that this person probably does not live in a crowded city. So let's look at them. If the person's personality is this, we can infer this. Got it? All right. Now, let's look at it again. If the person's likes and dislikes are, I like, what do you like? To set challenges for myself. We can infer that this person will do something that he or she has never done before, like read one book a week. That's a challenge that you set for yourself. I'm always hanging out with my friends. That's not a personality, that's a like. It doesn't say the word like or dislike, but if you're always hanging out with your friends, it means you like it. Now, what does that infer? My friends and I have barbecues, go for long drives, watch movies together, and play games. You got that, right? So the green is for the learning. Let's now go straight to check your learning. Work alone. Remember, it's not an exercise. We don't need to give 10, 12, 17 sentences. We give 4 or few so that the student will start to understand the process of the thinking. So you give this to them and you give them some time. Maybe you want to help them in the beginning. So he spends 4 hours a day on his computer. What can you infer? Fatma is a very honest girl. What can you infer? Ahmed likes to be outdoors. What can you infer? Khalid is adventurous. What can you infer? We keep talking about higher thinking skills, critical thinking, and all that. Well, here's the opportunity. But we need to learn how to do it, not just, okay, what do you infer? Well, my question is, when did I learn it from you? Okay, got it. So after they finish this, you gave them some time, you put in the answers and you tell them to check. Now, why did we write the letters here? Because it's just faster. If I had my way, the students will copy these sentences here, but sometimes we have to trade off the available time for what we can do. Now, the interaction part. The best learning, and the reason we have learning in a classroom situation, and now soon we will have that learning using breakout rooms in the different platforms that we're using. We want language interaction, which means in pairs, tell each other 2 sentences and reply with an inference. You can use words and sentences from pages 6 and 7 or make your own. Yeah, we don't want them to be quiet. We want them to talk. So if I am unable to produce a sentence and I go to page 6 and copy a sentence of one of the pages and say it to my friend, it's good because I know I read the right sentence and I'm not able to make my own. These are differences between the levels of the students. So it will look something like this. We have student A and student B. Student A will say something like, I like to make people laugh. And student B would say, I think you have a lot of friends. Student A will say, I never tell a lie. Student B might say, oh, you are very honest. So this is what we want the students to do. It takes 6 to 10 minutes. And if we do an interaction task every other period, or 3 times, well, that's every other period, right? 3 times a week. I prefer every session, but okay, things never work out the way we want them, right? But an interaction task is what builds the language speaking, all right? Now, again, we finished and we give them the assessment. Notice here, it's mega goal 3, unit 1, lesson 1. This is the assessment task. Before you try to do it, how do we put it in a test? We put exactly the same instructions. We just change the passage. How do we change the passage? Well, we need the specifications. Look at it. Copy sentences from the passage that express likes, dislikes, and personality. Right next to each sentence what you think it infers. Go to the next slide for the writing layout. So when we give the students something like this, we've got to give them something like this so that they can put the sentence that they read in the passage, then say whether it's a like, dislike, or personality, and what the sentence could infer. If they do this 20 to 25% right most of the class, be completely satisfied. Some of the students will do it better, but we are in this situation to learn. We are not in this we are not in the situation to collect marks and grades that sometimes do not reflect the student. We can create a marking and grading system for this in the future. Like, what would happen if they copied 5 sentences? How much grade should they, what marks should they get? If they are able to say correctly, if it's a personality, what grades and marks? And if they are able to produce an inference for only one of those sentences, that's a credit, right? So we can build the assessment for the whole year starting from the very first period. I would like to thank you all for watching. This is Mega Goal 3, Unit 1, Lesson 1. I would like to tell all the people watching this, I've been reading your comments, I would say you are very, very kind. It takes me about 3 hours to produce one lesson. So yes, it will never, ever be perfect. But that's the whole idea. The idea is now we present a lesson that took time to prepare, but you can give your students more experience, better feedback than if you are overloaded with 25 periods a week and you have to write a lesson plan for each one. Thank you very much. These are my contact details. I will be putting up the next one very, very soon.